नमस्कार।
ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु, सहनौ भुनक्तु, सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தோ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரौ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரौ. ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः। कोमलं पूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचरगुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहम्। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन्। हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुवमभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं। श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशीविभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീരക്കുന്നു നിരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പീടേണ്ട തോറു പ്രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. First of all, happy Navratri, and thanks for all of you to join on a Saturday morning. I know it's a busy week and a weekend's going on. So, anyway, but I didn't want to skip. At least we'll keep class for some time. All right, so we just directly jump into 24 today. So let me just see who I had. We can start with you and Madhavi Garu. You both can be friends. Okay, so we done stanza 1 of 24, right? And then I have to tell the meaning. So I'll start with that and then we'll go to stanza 2. हिरण्याक्षे पोत्रे प्रवरवपुषा देव भवता हते शोकक्रोधग्लपितधृतिरेतस्य सहजः हिरण्यप्रारम्भः कशिपुः अमरारातिसदसि प्रतिज्ञामातेः तव किल वधार्थं मधुरिपो. So this actually little bit continues right after Dashakam 13, right? Where in Dashakam 12 we saw the Varaha Avataram. In Dashakam 13 we saw Varaha getting rid of Hiranyaksha, right? 11 we saw how Jaya Vijaya became Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu in the first birth, right? So this is actually happening in the sequence. It is actually happening at that time, right? In the same time of Swayambhuva Manu. It is just being referenced later because of the way the storytelling was happening in Srimad Bhagavatam. So anyway, so when his brother Hiranyaksha was killed, Hiranyakashipu is of course very angry, because they both, they were feeding off of each other, right? So he had Shoka, Krodha, Glapita, Dhriti, which means Shoka means sorrow, and Krodham is anger. And because of that, Glapita Dhriti means he lost his mental balance because he was angry and he was very sorrowful, right? So he then says, he's thinking that although Bhagavan Vishnu or Narayana is supposed to be equal to the gods and the Asuras and the Devas, somehow he's always coming and, impacting the Asuras. So he feels very, he more upset and angry at Bhagavan Vishnu. And in the assembly, right, in the Asura assembly, he's actually saying that, he addresses all his people, right, all the people and says that it's not just about fighting the devas anymore. He says we have to get the root cause of who is giving the power to the devas, which is Bhagavan Narayana and Vishnu. He says we have to go get rid of that Narayana. That is the only way out. Otherwise, the devas will keep fighting us. The only way for us to do is to kind of go and defeat them. So with that, what he does is he goes and starts attacking all the worlds. Remember, he's an asura. So he's in some other lower world, Patala Lokam, but he goes and starts winning over all the other worlds, including that of the Indra and Swargaloka. He starts capturing, and his primary motive is to essentially get rid of Narayana. Now we'll start come to stanza 2. विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसि त्वानचिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाधीरनिधनं वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिग भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रातहरत दिवं त्वामघनयन्. But if he has to go conquer all the 3 worlds, which is all the 14 worlds, right? All take over the Swargaloka and everything, he has to get very, very strong, right? So, but he's also old. He's also, age is catching up with him. So what he does is he then tries to do this, like what we saw in Dashakam 4, the Ashtanga Yoga, right? He wants to gain all the Ashta Siddhis that comes from eventually doing all this. So he starts performing severe austerities to the extent that he stands only with his toes on the ground eventually, right? So he's standing only with his toes on his ground, and that too with only one leg, with his hands stretched up towards the sky, and then his face also looking up towards the sky. So extremely difficult posture. So he does this and he does intense penance from a long time. And because of that, what happens is over a period of time, there is like all this, ant hill, everything starts forming on his body, right? And there's like a ray of light heat which is actually emanating from Hiranyakashipu's body, which makes everything around him very hot. So when all this severe penance is going on, everybody approaches Brahma and says, Brahma, he's praying to you, right? So you have to go and take care of Hiranyakashipu. So when Brahma comes there, first he could not see where Hiranyakashipu is because of all the things that had covered him. So Brahma had to sprinkle, some jalam on him so that Hiranyakashipu, and when he looks at Hiranyakashipu, there is hardly anything left of his body because everything had just withered away because he's been doing this intense penance, right? So anyway, Brahma restores all of that for Hiranyakashipu, and then when Brahma asks, "What do you want?" right, as a boon. So of course, Hiranyakashipu says the first thing he says is, "I don't want to be killed because I want to go get rid of everybody else." And Brahma says, "I cannot grant you that immortality, right? So that cannot be given to you." So he says, "Okay." then he says you can put the conditions, right? And I think I'm trying to think the conditions come here. Yeah, yeah. So he says, you can put the conditions under which you want to be killed. So at that time, he puts a list of conditions, right? He puts a list of conditions which says I cannot be killed indoors or outdoors. I cannot be killed during the day. I cannot be killed during the night. I cannot be killed on land or on air, right? It's really on land. It is not earth, right? Because he's not going to be in the earth. So it's going to be on land or on air. He says neither by man or a woman or from an animal. So he goes on with a lot of things. Inanimate objects, animate objects, right, as weapons, from gods, asuras. He goes all of these things, and Brahma cannot stop him, right? But at the very end, Hiranyakashipu makes a blunder. He says, in the net, he says, I should not be killed by anything that you have created, O Brahma, right? So at that point, Brahma finds an out, right? He says, okay, right? Wish granted. So once Brahma gives that wish to Hiranyakashipu, then he starts tormenting, and then he goes and takes over all the worlds. He drives the Deva because nobody can defeat him anymore. So he goes and drives Indra and all of them out of their kingdom, and he takes over the Swarga Loka as well. Okay, so we'll get into stanza 2. Vidhatharam, comma, Ghoram sa khalu tapasitva nachirataha, comma, Puraha, put is Puras Sakshat Kurvan, comma, Sura Nara Mrigadhyaira Nidhanam, Varam Labdva Dripto, comma, Jagadiha Bhavannayakamidam, comma, Parikshundan Indra. If you want to break that, see, it's got a double na and a ni sound coming there. So Parikshundan Indrat Aharata Divam. I'm breaking at the da. Put a it and a ada if you want to. Parikshundan Indrat Aharata Divam, comma, Twamaganayan. Vidhataram Ghoram Sakhalu Tapasitva Chiratah Pura Sakshat Kurvan Suranara Mrigadhira Nidhanam Varam Labdhva Dripto Jagadiha Bhavannayakamidham Parikshundan Nindratharata Divam Twamaganayan.
विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाद्यैरनिधनं वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगणयन् विधातारं घोरं सकलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वं सुरनरमृगाद्यैरनिधनं वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगणयन्.
The Divam, after that, there is a comma in the fourth line, okay?
विधातारं घोरं सखलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाद्यैरनिधनं वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगणयन्.
Madhuri, the first line, the comma is after Vidhatharam. After that, there is a comma. Okay. First line.
Oh, okay. विधातारं घोरं सखलु तपसित्वा न चिरतः पुरः साक्षात् कुर्वन् सुरनरमृगाद्यैरनिधनं वरं लब्ध्वा दृप्तो जगदिह भवन्नायकमिदं परिक्षुन्दन्निन्द्रादहरत दिवं त्वामगणयन्.
The third line after Dripto, comma. I think this time you paused after Jagadiha. After Dripto, yeah. That's 3.
Rajesh, one question. And the second line, the Gaya Daya,
இது
மிருகாக்கு அப்புறம் சுரநர மிருகா
மிருகாத்யைர் DHY தியா
ஓகே
மிருகாத்யைர் நிதனம். Stanza 3. Nihantum tvam bhuyah tava padamaváptasya charipoh bahirdrishterantardhadita hridaye sukshma vapusha nadannuchaihi tatrapya kila bhuvanante chamrigayen bhiyayatam matva sakalojitakashi nivavrite. So then, because he's become unstoppable right now, right? So he goes, takes over all the worlds which are there to be taken over, including Swargaloka. So he establishes his kingdom out of Amaravati, which is Indra's capital in Swarga, right? So that's where Hiranyakashipu is, right? He's not in the Bhuloka plane. He's in Swargaloka ruling from there. So at that time, the Devas were kicked out right now, right? So they go approach Narayana and say that, we are all kicked out. You all know the atrocities that Hiranyakashipu is actually doing. And, so what do? We need help, right? So at that time, Narayana says something very important, right? He says, I know all the atrocities that Hiranyakashipu is doing, but I am not going to come and incarnate just because somebody is doing something wrong. I will only come incarnate when my greatest of devotees call out to me, right? Like in Bhagavad Gita, it says, Paritranaya sadhunam. That's what comes first. Protecting the sadhus. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. Then in the come, I'll get rid of the evil people, right? So the first thing is that when my greatest of my devotee is going to be born, and when that greatest of devotee is going to get tormented, and he is going to call me out, I am going to come. So he says that's going to happen later though. So he says, till then you have to wait till my greatest devotee is born. He says, but I'll come. Eventually I'll come and get rid of Hiranyakashipu. So anyway, so Hiranyakashipu then goes looking for this Narayana everywhere because he's taken over everything else. So at that time, what happens is Bahir Ante Drishtar. So Bhagavan says, you are not yet ready to see me at this time, right? In this form. So what he does is he gets inside of Hiranyakashipu, which means he's there in everybody's Atma, right? He's there as a Paramatma inside everybody. So he goes, looks in, and nobody searches anything inside. Hiranyakashipu is continuing to search for Bhagavan outside. So he doesn't find Narayana because Narayana is sitting inside of him. And Hiranyakashipu thinks, okay, Narayana has run away. And then he comes back to his kingdom and now he has full reign. Nobody to stop him. And then he goes, that's what he starts doing next. Nihantum tvam bhuyah. That is goes away, visarga comma. Tava padamavaptasya cha ripoho. Put a visarga comma, end of that line. Next line, on top of the ba, there is a ir that will go away. Bahir drishter, I'm just breaking at that ra if you want. Drishter antar dhadita hridaye sukshma vapusha. He remains in a sukshma form inside Hiranyakashipu. Nadannuchaihi. That is goes away. Put a visarga comma. Nadannuchaihi. Tatrapyakhila bhuvanante cha mrigayen, comma. Bhiya yatam matva, comma. Sa khalu jitakashi nivavrite. Nihantum tvam bhuyah tava padamavaptasya charipoho bahirdrishterantardhadita hridaye sukshma vapusha nadhannuchaihi tatrapyakhila bhuvanante chamrigayen bhiyayatam matva sakhalu jitakashi nipavrite.
Nihantun tvam bhuyah tava padamavaptasya charipoho bahirdrishterantardadita hridaye sukshma vapusha nadannuchaihi tatrapyakhila bhavanante cha mrigayan biyayatam matva sakalujita kashi nibavrite.
In my third line, bhuvanante chamrigayen.
Nihantun tvam bhuyah तव पदमवाप्तस्य च रिपोः बहिर्दृष्टेरन्तर्ददितहृदये सूक्ष्मवपुषा नदन्नुच्चैः तत्राप्यखिलभुवनान्ते च मृगयन् बियायातं मत्वा स खलु जितकाशीनिववृते
निहन्तुं त्वां भूयः तव पदमवाप्तस्य च रिपोः बहिर्दृष्टेरन्तर्दधितहृदये सूक्ष्मवपुषा नदन्नुच्चैः तत्राप्यखिलभुवनान्ते च मृगयन् भियायातं मत्वा स खलु जितकाशीनिववृते निहन्तुं त्वां भूयः तव पदमवाप्तस्य च रिपोः बहिर्दृष्टेरन्तर्दधितहृदये सूक्ष्मवपुषा नदन्नुच्चैः तत्राप्यखिलभुवनान्ते च मृगयन् भियायातं मत्वा स खलु जितकाशीनिववृते
And therefore, ततोऽस्य प्रह्लादः समजनिसुतो गर्भवसतौ मुनेर्वीणापाणेः अधिगतभवद्भक्तिमहिमा स वै जात्या दैत्यः शिशुरपि समेत्य त्वयि रतिं गतस्त्वद्भक्तानां वरदपरमोदाहरणताम्. So to this Hiranyakashipu is born 4 children, and one of them is Prahlada. The youngest one there is Prahlada. And it says here, what happens is when Hiranyakashipu had gone for this penance that he was doing, right? So at that time, his wife Kayadu was pregnant. So he had gone for penance. His wife Kayadu was pregnant. So at that time, Indra, takes this opportunity to come and take Kayadu away, Hiranyakashipu's wife away, with the intent of killing the son which is there in the womb, because he says that Hiranyakashipu already is a torture and terror. Now he is going to get a son. This means his reign is going to continue. So he says, I have to put an end. I cannot put an end to Hiranyakashipu and at least put an end to this. So at that time, Narada comes and stops him and says that you're doing a big mistake, because the greatest of the devotee of Bhagavan is going to be born to this person. So he says, don't do that, right? And Narada takes Kayadu to a safe place, and then he teaches Kayadu and thereby Prahlada everything that is to be known, right? So what happens because of that? That's why, this talks about even before Prahlada is born, he had all the knowledge that is to be known, because of which it says here, Save Jatya Daityaha, even though he's born in the clan of Asuras and he was a small child, he still had all the knowledge that was required. So he was able to see that everybody is the same. It is the same Paramatma who is in everyone. He knew that, the soul is permanent. All this body, what we have, is a temporary one. It is just a covering. So he had all the knowledge that should be there. And so that is how Prahlada is born with all the knowledge. So anyway, and he says, Bhagavad says at the very last line, Gataha Tvad Bhaktanam Bharada Paramoda Udaharanam. Udaharanam is an example. So he talks about how the greatest of devotee needs to be. Prahlada becomes the example of your greatest of devotees, because there's no greater devotee than Prahlada. Dhruva also is a great devotee, but we'll see how great Prahlada is, right? So that's how Prahlada is there right now, and to Hiranyakashipu is born. Tatosya Prahladaha, Samajani Suto Garbha Vasatau, Muner Veena Panehe. The Ra goes away, put a Visargan comma, Panehe. Next word starts with the A. Adigata Bhavat Bhakti Mahima. Savai Jatya Daityaha, comma. Shishurapi, again a comma, just to emphasize that even though he was just a child, Shishurapi, comma. Sametya Twai Ratim, comma. Gatas Tvat Bhaktanam, comma. Bharada Paramoda Haranatam. Tatosya Prahladaha Samajani Suto Garbhavasatau Muner Veena Panehe Adhigata bhavad bhakti mahima savai jatya daityah shishurapi sametya tvairatim gatastvad bhaktanam varada paramodha haranatam.
ततोऽस्य प्रह्लादः समजनिसुतो गर्भवसतौ मुनेर्वीणापाणेः अधिगतभवद्भक्तिमहिमा स वै जात्या दैत्यः शिशुरपि समेत्य त्वयि रतिं गतस्त्वद्भक्तानां वरद परमोदाहरणताम्.
Third line le shishurapi and then comma.
ततोऽस्य प्रह्लादः समजनिसुतो गर्भवसतौ मुनेर्वीणापाणेः अधिगतभवद्भक्तिमहिमा स वै जात्या दैत्यः शिशुरपि समेत्य त्वयि रतिं गतस्त्वद्भक्तानां वरद परमोदाहरणताम्.
ततोऽस्य प्रह्लादः समजनिसुतो गर्भवसतौ मुनिर्वीणापाणेः अधिगतभवद्भक्तिमहिमा स वै जात्या दैत्यः शिशुरपि समेत्य त्वयि रतिं गतस्त्वद्भक्तानां वरद परमोदाहरणताम्. What's the, how do we, paramodaharanatam?
You have to
Yeah.
kind of say the whole word together because it's parama udaharana tam. Udaharanatam. So you cannot break that word, you know.
Okay. ततोऽस्य प्रह्लादः समजनिसुतो गर्भवसतौ मुनिर्वीणापाणेः अधिगतभवद्भक्तिमहिमा स वै जात्या दैत्यः शिशुरपि समेत्य त्वयि रतिं गतस्त्वद्भक्तानां वरद परमोदाहरणताम्.
That's right. Surharinham hasyam tava charanadhasyam nijasute sadrishtva dushtatma gurubirashishikshachiramamum guruproktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dridamityapa kurvan sarvam tava charana bhakti vavavrude. So, this case, like we said, Prahlada, he's already born with all the knowledge that is there, and he was always absorbed in the thought of Narayana. And because of his nature, he was just extremely devoted, right? And he was a great soul. So from the very beginning, Prahlada was not interested in things that normal children were interested in. At that age, he was a very small boy, right? And then he had no interest in anything that was going on, right? And that devotional path was what he had already picked. So, but his father says, okay, all the kids are going to Shukracharya, who is the guru of the Asuras. So they are all going to him to learn. So he sends Prahlada also there. But what happens is when he goes there, Prahlada continues to be very devoted to Narayana. So, Hiranyakashipu does not understand that because he's like, he's like Surarina Hasyam. So everybody ridicules Hiranyakashipu, saying that you are supposed to be the boss of all the asuras and you are like tormenting, you are trying to get rid of Narayana, but your son on the contrary is going and worshipping Narayana. So they all start ridiculing Hiranyakashipu and he gets very upset with this of how his son is not following his path, right? Surarinam hasyam, tava charana dasyam nijasute, sa drishtva dushtatma, gurubhir Ashishikshat. I told you this came in 23 also. I told you it is going to come again in 24. That word of instruction, right? So Gurubhir, break at that ra. Gurubhir Ashishikshach Chiramamu. Okay, that's the best way to say it. So the next two lines will be a little confusing, but I'll say it slowly. Guru Proktam Chasau. You will have Chasavi. Right, you will have it that way. We're just breaking that sandhi there. So chasau, then the V will go away. If you have VI, that will go away. Chasau. Idam abhadraya. And then the line continues. Dridamit yapa kurvan sarvam. And then put a comma. So the third line continues into the fourth line. And the comma is after the word sarvam. So Guru proktam chasau, comma. Idamidham abhadraya dridamit yapa kurvan sarvam, comma. Tava charana bhaktiyaiva bavrude.
Rajesh, sorry, third line la chaso idamidam bhadraya dridamiti dana.
Other than the T and I is becoming a Thya. In case you have T and I think they've just broken that Sandhi in your thing, in your book. So it's Dridamit Yapa Kurvan.
Okay.
So T and A becomes a Thya there. Surharinham hasyam tava charanadhasyam nijasute sadrishtva dushtatma gurubhirashishikshachiramamum guru proktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dhridamityapa kurvan sarvam tava charana bhaktiyaiva vavridhe.
Surarinam hasyam tava charanadhasyam nijatsute sadrishtva dushtatma guru birasi sikshat chiramamum guru proktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dridamitya. Sorry, idu konjam.
Guru proktam chasau. Pause. Idamidam abhadraya dhridamityapa kurvan sarvam.
Guru proktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dridamityapa kurvam sarvam tava charana bhaktiyaiva vavrude surarinam hasyam tava charana dhasyam nijasute sadrishtva dushtatma guru birasi sikshat chiramamum guru proktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dridamityapa kurvam sarvam tava charana bhaktiyaiva vavrude.
Surarinam hasyam tava charanadasyam nijasute sadrishtva dushtatma gurubhirasi sikshachchiramamum guru proktam chasau idamidamabhadraya dhrudamityapa kurvan sarvam tava charana bhaktiyaiva vavrude. Surarinam hasyam tava charanadasyam nijasute sadrishtva dushtatma gurubhirasi sikshachchiramamum guru proktam chasau idamidam abhadraya dhrudamityapa kurvan sarvam tava charana bhaktiyaiva vavrude.
6. Adhiteshu sreshtham kimiti pariprishthe tatanahe bhavad bhaktim varyam abhigatati paryakuladhritihi gurubhyo roshitva sahajamatirasyetyabhividanhe badhopayanasmin vyatanuta bhavat padasharane. So one day, when Prahlada was, I think, 5 years old or something, very small, so Hiranyakashipu then calls him over, right, and says, you're going to school into Shukracharya. Tell me what you have learned. What is the best subject that you have learned? What is it that you like the most, right? So Aditeshu Sreshtham Kimiti, what is the greatest thing that you have learned? So Prahlada simply replies that there's nothing greater than devotion to Bhagavan. I don't think there's any greater thing in this world than bhakti towards Narayana. He says that is the greatest. So at the time, Hiranyakashipu says, what is this boy even telling? He expected some other answer. So at that time, Prahlada very beautifully says one stanza. I'm going to say that is from Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about the 9 types of bhakti, which is there, right? I'm just going to look this way. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dhasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. He says there are 9 types of bhakti towards Bhagavan that one can actually exhibit, right? Everything is the same. He says the first one is Shravanam. Just hearing about Bhagavan is good enough. That is also equally good. So, Shravanam. Next is Kirtanam. So, chanting, right? Chanting his names and the deeds and all of that. So, doing all the chanting that we're doing. Smaranam. Smaranam is just remembering him. So, remembering Bhagavan, remembering all his leelagal is also equally important. You don't, even if you're not hearing, you're just lying down, you just remember. That's also saved. Pada Sevanam means worshipping his feet. So, however you have an idol or a photo, whatever, worshipping the feet of Bhagavan is the same. Then Archanam. Archanam is worshipping through all the ritualistic ways we are doing, right? So you're doing a homam, you're doing an archana, all this, any other ritualistic approaches that you're having. Then Vandanam is doing simple prayers. So thanking Bhagavan every day and worshipping him. Just doing prayers is Vandanam. Dasyam is being his faithful, is being his servant. And what that means, how can I be servant to Bhagavan? He's not here, right, with me physically. No, you go to the temple, you do all the help and all the service you're doing in the temple as if you are a servant of Bhagavan. So not doing it for any returns, not doing it for any material gains or because somebody is telling you to. You want to go offer the service because you are a servant of Bhagavan. That is Dasyam. Sakyam is just treating him as a friend. So Arjuna treated Krishna as a friend, right? As a same, we're going to see about Kuchelo Pakyanam. We're going to see about the Gopa boys who did not think of Krishna as Bhagavan, just thought of Krishna as friend. So that is also good. The last one is Atma Nivedanam, doing complete surrender to Bhagavan, saying that I'm not going to do any of the prayers, I'm not going to do any of the rituals, but I'm completely surrendering to you, which is very hard. It's easy to say just surrender, but there's a lot of details behind what complete surrender is. But anyway, so Prahlada says these are the 9 types of bhakti which is actually there. And he instructs Hiranyakashipu saying, you're wasting your life, right? Doing all of these things. You should probably quit all of these things, right? And then it's time, you are already aged, you should go to the, you should go to the forest. You should go retire in the forest and then, start meditating on Bhagavan, which Hiranyakashipu does not like. So he then says, Vadho Payan Asmin. So he says, okay, this boy is gone towards the extreme. Initially, he thought he was just a small boy who's just misguided, right? But when Prahlada starts talking all these important details, he says, okay, this boy is gone beyond just being a small boy. And then he starts off looking to ways to kill his own son. Adhiteshu Sreshtham Kimiti, comma, Pariprishteta Tanaye, comma, Bhavat Bhaktim Varyam Abhigatati, comma, Paryakula Dhritihi, Gurubhyo Roshitva, comma, Sahaja Matirasyetia Bhividan, cannot break that word, Matirasyetia Bhividan, comma, Badhopayan Asmin Vyatanuta, comma, Bhavat Pada Sharane. Prahlada is devoted to your feet. He doesn't care about what anybody else is actually telling. Adhiteshu sreshtham kimiti pariprishteta tanahe bhavat bhaktim varyam abhigatati paryakula dhritihi gurubhyo roshetva sahajamati bhividanne badhopayanasmin vyatanuta bhavat pada sharane.
अधीतेषु श्रेष्ठं किमिति परिपृष्टे ततनये भवद्भक्तिं वर्याम् अभिगदति पर्यकुलधृतिः गुरुभ्यो रोषित्वा सहजमतिरस्येत्यभिविदन् वदोपायानस्मिन् व्यतनुत भवत्पादशरणे.
Fourth line, Vyatanuta, comma.
व्यतनुत भवत्पादशरणे अधीतेषु श्रेष्ठं किमिति परिपृष्टे ततनये भवद्भक्तिं वर्याम् अभिगदति पर्याकुलधृतिः गुरुभ्यो रोषित्वा सहजमतिरस्येत्यभिविदन् वदोपायानस्मिन् व्यतनुत भवत्पादशरणे.
Second line, and after Varyam Abhigatati, and then comma, okay? Second line.
अधीतेषु श्रेष्ठं किमिति परिपृष्टेऽथ तनये भवद्भक्तिं वर्यामभिगदति पर्याकुलधृतिः गुरुभ्यो रोषित्वा सहजमतिरस्येत्यभिविदन् वधोपायानस्मिन् व्यतनुत भवत्पादशरणे अधीतेषु श्रेष्ठं किमिति परिपृष्टेऽथ तनये भवद्भक्तिं वर्यामभिगदति पर्याकुलधृतिः गुरुभ्यो रोषित्वा सहजमतिरस्येत्यभिविदन् वधोपायानस्मिन् व्यतनुत भवत्पादशरणे.
That's a 7. Sashulhaira Viddaha Subahumatito Diggajaganaihi Mahasarpairdashtopi Anashanagara Bidutaha Girindra Vakshiptopi Akaha Paramatmanai Bhibo Twahinyastatmatvat Kimapinani Pidham Abhajata. So Hiranyakashipu decides, okay, what are the ways I can actually kill this boy, right? And then he tries several ways. So one is Shulai Ra Biddaha, which is like piercing with a trident, right? As a shulam. And then Diggaja Ganaihi, which is like getting massive elephants and then having them trying to trample. I'll just say everything and then I'll give you some context there. So trampling with all the elephants. Then Maha Sarpaihi, which is getting very poisonous snakes and having them bite it. Then Anashana means not giving any food, starving with not giving any food. Then the Garahara is to give poisonous food. So because nothing is happening when he survives not eating, he then gives him poisonous food to then kill him. Then Girindra Vakshuptopi is throwing him from the highest mountain. Now, the important thing here, the reason in the earlier stanza, Bhattaripat said that Gatastvad Bhaktanam Paramodha Haranata. Why is he the greatest devotee? It's very simple. He's constantly praying, he's constantly in devotion. Let's say you are also doing that. Somebody is coming and somebody is hurting you with something. What is the first thing we'll do? We'll be like, Bhagwan, I'm praying to you every single day. Why am I getting inflicted with this pain? Right? That is a natural thing we all go say, why am I getting this? I've been doing all good things. I'm constantly worshipping you. I'm constantly going to the temples. Prahlada doesn't do that. Right? He says, I am always devoted to you. If that happens, let it happen. Right? As we are left in a room, we are standing there in the forest, and the elephant starts running towards you, a wild elephant. What is the first thing we are going to do? We're going to run away. There's no way we are going to stand there still saying, let whatever happens, happen. Right? We don't. So that is the difference, right? Between a devotee and a great devotee or a supreme devotee is someone who has the trust, saying that whatever happens is going to happen and I'm not going to worry about it, right? And that is the confidence and trust that Prahlada had, that he didn't care about anything that was actually happening. So that is the key takeaway from this. It's not the various ways Hiranyakashipu tried to kill him. The point was Prahlada was not affected by any of this, and he didn't care about any of this either. And because of which he survived through all of this, because Bhagwan at the end of the day protected him from all of this thing, right? So that's why Kimapina Nipidam. Absolutely nothing happened to Prahlada, no matter whatever Hiranyakashipu tried to do. Sa Shulaira Viddaha, Subahu Matito Diggaja Ganaihi, the Visarga, Ganaihi. Next, on top of that Ma, there is a ir that will go away. Maha Sarpair Dashtopi. I'm just going to break it so we can understand that. So the Pya goes away. Dashtopi, Next word will start with the A. Anashana Garahara Vidutaha. Sarper Dashtopi Anashana Garahara Vidutaha. Girindra Vakshiptopi. Same thing. The Pya goes away. Vakshiptopi, Ahaha. Ahaha means, surprisingly. Ahaha Paramatmanai Vibho, त्वयि न्यस्तात्मत्वात्, किमपि न निपीडाम् अभजत। सशूलैराविद्धः सुबहुमतितो दिग्गजगणैः महासर्पैर्दष्टोऽपि अनशनगराहारविदुतः गिरीन्द्रावक्षिप्तोऽपि अहः परमात्मन्नैभिभो त्वहि न्यस्तात्मत्वात् किमपि न निपीडाम् अभजत।
सशूलैराविद्धः. கரெக்டா சொல்றேனா? சாரி, அது சேர்த்து சொல்லணுமா?
No, you said correct only, yeah.
सशूलैराविद्धः सुबहुमहितो गणैः महासर्पैर्दष्टोऽपि अनशनगराहारविदुतः विक्षिप्तोऽपि अहः परमात्मन्नयि विभो त्वयि न्यस्तात्मत्वात् किमपि न
Yeah, good.
निपीडाम् अभजत। सशूलैराविद्धः सुबहुमतितो दिग्गजगणैः महासर्पैर्दष्टोऽपि अनशनगराहारविदुतः गिरीन्द्रावक्षिप्तोऽपि अहः परमात्मन्नयि विभो त्वयि न्यस्तात्मत्वात् किमपि न निपीडामभजत।
सशूलैराविद्धः सुबहुमथितो दिग्गजगणैः महासर्पैर्दष्टोऽपि अनशनगराहारविदुतः गिरीन्द्रावक्षिप्तोऽपि अहः परमात्मन्नयि विभो त्वयि न्यस्तात्मत्वात् किमपि न निपीडामभजत। सशूलैराविद्धः सुबहुमथितो दिग्गजगणैः महासर्पैर्दष्टोऽपि अनशनगराहारविदुतः गिरीन्द्रावक्षिप्तोऽपि अहः परमात्मन्नयि विभो त्वयि न्यस्तात्मत्वात् किमपि न निपीडामभजत।
We'll just switch halfway. Lakshmi, you can be a student. Lakshmi Maha from Kansas. And then Anu, you can be a student. Stanza 8. ततः शङ्खाविष्टः स पुनरतिदुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तद्गेहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणत् गुरोश्चासान्निध्ये स पुनरनुगान् दैत्यतनयान् भवद्भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परममपि विज्ञानमशिषत्. So Hiranyakashipu tries all these things, right? Absolutely nothing happens. So then, he doesn't know what to do now. So then, the Shukracharyas, the teachers, say, don't worry, he's still a boy, at the end of the day, he could be misguided, right? He's ignorant at this time. I don't know how he survived, but he's still ignorant. So he says, don't worry, we give him to us for some more time. So they send him back to school. And what they do is they tie him with a rope so that he doesn't go and do other things because they're afraid that he's going to retaliate. So they tie him with a rope and then put him there. Now, whatever they teach in the break, the other boys come and meet Prahlada. And Prahlada then teaches them what he learned from Narada. So it's just Bhavat Bhakti Paramam Api Vijnanam, the greatest of the knowledge that is there. He starts teaching the boys. So now what is happening is not only is Prahlada not listening to Hiranyakashipu and all the Shukracharya, even the other boys are also beginning to follow Prahlada and they also start getting the true knowledge, and that causes problems for everybody because now they're saying you are also spoiling the other kids around you as well. So that is what is happening here. When Shukracharya was out, all of this is happening. Tataha put ish tatash shankavishtaha, comma स पुनरति दुष्टोस्य जनको, Guruktya tadgehe, comma, kila varuna pashais tamarunat Guros chasan nidhye, double na, chasan nidhye, comma, sa punaranugan daitya tanayan, comma, bhavat bhaktes tattvam, comma, paramamapi vijnanam ashishat. I'm just breaking at that mark. ततः शङ्खाविष्टः स पुनरतिदुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तद्गेहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणत् गुरोश्चासान्निध्ये स पुनरनुगान् दैत्यतनयान् भवद्भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परममपि विज्ञानमशिषत्
ततः शङ्काविष्टः स पुनरति दुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तत्केहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणत् पुराशासान् नित्ये नित्ये स पुनरनुकान् दैत्यदनयान् भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परममपि विज्ञानम् अशिषत्
third line gurosh o sound gurosh chasan
குருன்னு போட்டிருக்கு ரூன் குரோவா
gu is small but the ro I think you didn't say the ro and the you said ra or something
गुरोक्त
gurosh yeah
ततः शङ्काविष्टः स पुनरति दुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरोक्त्या तत्केहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणत् गुरोशासान् नित्ये नित्ये स पुनरनुकान् दैत्यतनयान् भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परममपि विज्ञानम् अशिषत्.
yeah and the second line la guruktya
ஆமா
third
அது
da
அப்பா
o
ஆமா மாத்திட்டேன் தேங்க்யூ.
That is the third line, Gurosh Chasa or Guroshasa?
gurosh ish then cha ish and then cha gurosh chasan nidhye
Okay.
तदशङ्गाविष्टः स पुनरति
दुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तद्गेहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुण
sorry anu neenga da yeah
तदशङ्गाविष्टः स पुनरति दुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तत्केहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणात् गुरोश्चासान् नित्ये स पुनरनुकान् दैत्यतनयान् भवद्भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परमपि विज्ञानमशिषत् परममपि विज्ञानमशिषत् तदशङ्गाविष्टः स पुनरति दुष्टोऽस्य जनको गुरुक्त्या तत्केहे किल वरुणपाशैस्तमरुणात् गुरोश्चासान् नित्ये स पुनरनुकान् दैत्यतनयान् भवद्भक्तेस्तत्त्वं परममपि विज्ञानमशिषत्.
Kansanai pitha shunvan bala prakaramakhilam twatstuti param rushantha prahainam kulahataka kaste balamiti balam me vaikuntah tava cha jagatam chapi sabhalam saheva trailokyam sakalamiti dhiro yamagadhit. Because Prahlada starts disrupting the other students also. They are all coming and saying that, look, we are not able to fix your boy, but take him away because he's also impacting the other kids around, right? That's a complaint, right? That's coming. So Hiranyakashipu says, okay, time to take the matter in my own hands, right? He says, I myself am going to go get rid of Prahlada right away because it's impacting everything for him. So one day he calls Prahlada and says, we've tried all these different ways to get rid of you, but nothing is happening to you, right? So he's saying, Kula Hataka, he says, you are a destroyer of my clan. of the entire Asura clan, you are ashamed because you are going in the completely opposite direction. But he says the most important question is, Kaste Bhalamiti, where are you getting all your strength from? That no matter what we do, no matter what happens, right? Absolutely nothing is happening to you. So this is the question Hiranyakashipu was asking. So Prahlada, in all of these situations, he's always peaceful. He's very calm, mild, gentle, right? Absolutely no, what do you call it? No reactions to the things that people are telling. So he says very beautifully, he says, Bhalam me Vaikuntaha. He says, my strength is all from that Narayana who is in Vaikuntham. He is the source of my strength. He says, not only is he a source of my strength, he says, Tavacha is also a source of your strength. The strength that you have, O Father, he is also the source of your strength. Tavacha Jagatam Chapisa Balam. He says, every single particle that is there in the world is energized by the same Bhagavan who is there. He is the same strength that you also have, I also have, except that I have realized it, you have not realized it, right? So he then gives this beautiful explanation to his father when he says that without him, without that Bhagavan being there, nobody has any strength. There is nobody can do anything there. Whether something is a moving creature or an immoving creature, or something what you consider a superior creature or something you consider an inferior creature, including that Brahma who is there, everybody is controlled by that one common Paramatma, one common energy which is there. So he says to his father, even now he says, give up this mentality of yours. Do not discriminate between anybody, because everybody is the same source of the strength, and you have to keep your mind equal towards everything, right? That's a beautiful explanation he gives, right? So Saeva Trilokyam Sakalamiti. He says all the three worlds, which is the 14 worlds, which is distributed as three, every single thing which is there inside of it is powered by that same Bhagavan, right? That's what Prahlada tells when Hiranyakashipu asks. Pita Shrinvan Bala Prakaramakhilam, Twat Stutiparam, Rushandaha, put a F, Rushandaf Prahainam, Kulahataka Kaste Balamiti, Balam me Vaikuntaha, that is goes away, put a Visarga, Vaikuntaha, Tavacha Jagatam Chapisa Balam, Sa eva Trilokyam Sakalamiti, Dhiroyam Agadit. Pita Shrinvan Bala Prakaramakhilam Twatstuti Param Rushandhav Prahainam Kulahataka Kaste Bhalamiti Balam me Vaikuntaha Tavacha Jagatam Chapi Sabhalam Saheba Trilokyam Sakalamiti Dhiroyam Agadit.
पिता शृण्वन् बालप्रकरम् अखिलं त्वत्स्तुतिपरं त्वत्स्तुतिपरं रुषाण्डः प्राहैनं कुलहतककस्ते बलमिति बलं मे वैकुण्ठः तव च जगतां चापि सबलं स एव त्रैलोक्यं सकलमिति धीरोऽयम् अगतीत्. அந்த கமா அங்கங்க வரதுனால அந்த டியூன் போயிடுறது. அது
you just have to make sure you're ending at the very end, right? Pita Shunvan Bala Prakaramakhilam Twatstuti Param Rushanthav Prahainam.
Okay. Pita Shunvan Bala Prakaramakhilam Twatstuti Param Rushanthav Prahainam Kulahataka Kaste Balamiti Balam me Vaikuntaha Tava cha Jagatam Chapi Sapalam Saye Vai Trilokyam Sakalamiti Dhiroyam Agatit.
पिता शृण्वन् बाल प्रकरमखिलं त्वत्स्तुति परं रुषान्दः प्राहैनं कुलहदकगस्ते फलमिति फलं मे वैकुण्ठः तव च जगतां चापि सबलं स एव त्रैलोक्यं सकलमिति धीरोऽयमगतीत्. पिता शृण्वन् बाल प्रकरमखिलं त्वत्स्तुति परं रुषान्दः प्राहैनं कुलहदकगस्ते फलमिति बलं मे वैकुण्ठः तव च जगतां चापि सबलं स एव त्रैलोक्यं सकलमिति धीरोऽयमगतीत्
Sensitive. Arhi kwasau sakala jagadatma haririti prabhinde smastambham chalita karavalo diti sutah atah paschad vishno nahi vaditumisho sahasa kripatman vishwatman pavanapuravasin hridayamam. So Hiranyakashipu says, you keep telling this Bhagavan, this Narayana, he's there in everybody, he's in me, he's in you, he's in everyone. He says, I've never got a chance to see him. Because if you keep talking about somebody, then you should be able to see. I went looking for that Narayana and I couldn't find him either. So I think he says he's a fictional character, right? You keep talking about him, but nobody can see him. So very easy. So kwasa is kaha aso, very easy, very easy, right? So he's going and looking, seeing where is that Narayana that you keep talking about? And he says that you talked about this for too long. Today it's going to come to an end. So he says, I want to see that Narayana today. If I don't see it, he says, Hiranyakashipu says, I'm going to chop your head off. Right? So he takes his sword and then he says, I'm going to chop your head off, Prahlada. I want to see that Narayana very easy. So Prahlada says, he's there everywhere. What do you mean very easy? There's no place he's not there. So because he's standing next to a pillar, he then takes with his fist, he then smashes against that pillar, right? And says that, easy in this pillar, right? And then he smashes against that pillar. So with this, Bhattacharya ends this Dashakam saying, Go Guruvayurappa, I cannot say more than this in this Dashakam. So please, Kripatman, Vishwatman, the one who is very compassionate, please eradicate all my ailments. With this Dashakam comes to an end. Are kwasau, comma, sakala jagadatma haririti, comma, prabhinte sma stambham, comma, chalita karavalo ditisutah, atah, put F, atah paschad vishno, comma, nahi paditum ishosmi sahasa, comma, kripatman vishwatman, comma, pavanapura vasin mridayamam. Arhe kwasau sakala jagadhatma haririti prabhinte smastambham chalita karavalo diti sutah atah paschad vishnu nahi vaditumishosmi sahasa kripatman vishwatman pavanapura vasin hridayamam.
हरे क्वासौ सकल जगदात्मा हरिरिति प्रपिन्दे स्मस्तम्भं चलितकरवालोदिति सुतः अधः पश्चात् विष्णो न हि तुमीशोऽस्मि सहसा कृपात्मन् विश्वात्मन् पवनपुरवासिन् हृदयमाम् हरे क्वासौ सकल जगदात्मा हरिरितिः प्रबिन्दे स्मस्तम्भं चलितकरवालोदिति सुतः अधः पश्चात् विष्णो न हि वदितुमीशोऽस्मि सहसा कृपात्मन् विश्वात्मन् पवनपुरवासिन् हृदयमाम्
अरे क्वासौ सकल जगदात्मा हरिरिति प्रभिन्दे स्म स्तम्भं चलित करवालोदिति सुतः अधः पश्चात् विष्णो न हि वदितुमीशोऽस्मि सहसा कृपात्मन् विश्वात्मन् पवनपुरवासिन् मृडयमाम् अरे क्वासौ सकल जगदात्मा हरिरिति प्रभिन्दे स्म स्तम्भं चलितकरवालोदिति सुतः अधः पश्चात् विष्णो न हि वदितुमीशोऽस्मि सहसा कृपात्मन् विश्वात्मन् पवनपुरवासिन् मृडयमाम्.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. And start Dashakam 25, Narasimha Avatara Varnanam. Definitely a tough chapter, so I'll tell you guys ahead of time. Stambhe ghattayato hiranyakashipoh karnau samachurnayenne aghurna jagadanda kunda kuharo घोरस्तवा भूद्रवः श्रुत्वायं किल दैत्यराजहृदये पूर्वं कदाप्यश्रुतं कम्पः कश्चन सम्पपात चलितोऽप्यम्बोजभूर्विष्टरात्. So when Hiranyakashipu strikes at that pillar with his fist, right, wondering where is that Narayana you keep talking about? If he's there everywhere, he should also be in this pillar. Then when he strikes it, at that time, the first thing is he hears a sound which kind of pretty much splits his ears or breaks his eardrums, right? It's a sound which, the very fearful sound that he hears from inside the pillar, which it says is something he has never heard before, right? He says that, Purvam Kadapi Ashrutam. He has never heard such a sound ever in his life. Such a loud banging noise actually comes out. And at that time, the sound shakes the entire universe to the extent it says that even Brahma, who is sitting in Satyaloka, was rattled by the sound. So that is the amount of humongous sound that is actually coming from there. And he doesn't know what is coming out of it, but that's a sound that he first hears, and that shakes everybody else who's actually out there as well. So this one, I always have a very interesting story I tell on this stanza, right? So when I was learning, and I was in Mumbai, for those who are in Mumbai, in Chembur, long time back, 1992, right? So at that time, one old person also we used to have the class in our class in our house, and one old uncle used to learn, from the Guruji as well. So he was telling how he was coming at night in the Chembur market, 9 o'clock, whatever, very dark, and a bunch of guys came to steal some money from him, right? He's an old guy, probably 60 or something at that time. And they kind of snatched some money from him. And what he did was he just stood there, and then he just said the stanza out loud. This stanza, when you say it out loud, it's a very powerful stanza. And if you all come for the Agre Pashyami show, which is coming in October, you'll see that impact of it. It's a very powerful stanza. The sound, that all that energy is in there. So when he said that out, he says those people just ran away because they had no idea what he was saying. They thought he's some, great person who has some great mantra that he's actually telling, which is going to curse them off. And so he came and told us, oh, I just said that stanza out loud, and these people just all ran away from me, right? So anyway, so this is but the sound that Hiranyakashipu is hearing, which is very difficult for us to describe that sound, right? Because it says that's a sound which nobody has heard, which shatters everything else, and everybody in the universe gets rattled with the sound that is coming from that. Stambhe ghattayato Hiranyakashipoho, Karnau Samachurnayan, in at the end, Samachurnayan, Next line, if you have a double na, it becomes a a. Aghurnaj Jagadanda Kunda Kuharo, Ghoras Tava Bhudravaha. Stambhe Ghattayato Hiranyakashipoho Karnau Samachurnayan Aghurnaj Jagadanda Kunda Kuharo Ghorastava Bhudravaha.
ஓ நீங்க ஸ்ப்ளிட் பண்ணி சொல்லி தரீங்களா? பிகாஸ் அடுத்தது 4 இருக்கே.
I'll just, it's easy to do it 2 lines.
Okay, no problem. Stambe katyado hiranyakashipoh karnau samasurnayan akuna jagadanda kunda guharo gorastava bhutravaha.
First line le gattaya, double ta, gattayato.
Okay. Stambe ghattayatho Hiranyakashipoh karnau samasurnayan akuna jagadanda kunda kuharo gorastava bhutravaha.
Stambe gattayato hiranyakashipoho karnau samachurnayan akurna jagatanda kunda guharo gorastava bhutravaha. Stambe kattayado hiranyakashipoho karnau samachurnayan akurna jagatanda kunda guharo gorastava bhutravaha.
Shrutva yam kila daitya raja hridaye, purvam kadapya shrutam, kampaha, put ih, kampah kashchana sampapata, chalito pyambhoja bhur. Cannot break that word. You have to say it together. चलितोऽप्यम्भोजभूर्विष्टरात् श्रुत्वायं किल दैत्यराजहृदये पूर्वं कदाप्यश्रुतं कम्पः कश्चन सम्पपात चलितोऽप्यम्भोजभूर्विष्टरात्
श्रुत्वायं किल दैत्यराजहृदये पूर्वं गदाप्यश्रुतं कम्बः कच्चन सम्बभात सलितोऽभ्याम्बोजभूर्विष्टरात्
The last
श्रुत
the
சொல்லுங்க
cha sound
च
चलितोऽप्यम्भोजभूर्विष्टरात्.
ओके ओके श्रुत्वायं किल राजहृदये पूर्वं गदाप्यश्रुतं कम्बः कच्चन सम्बभात चलितोऽभ्यम्बोजभूर्विष्टरात्
श्रुत्वायं किल दैत्यराजहृदये पूर्वं कदापि श्रुतं कम्बः कश्चन सम्बपाद चलितोऽप्यम्बोजभूर्विष्टरात् श्रुत्वायं किल दैत्यराजहृदये पूर्वं कदाप्यश्रुतं कम्बः कश्चन सम्बपाद चलितोऽप्यम्बोजभूर्विष्टरात्
Two. दैत्ये दिक्षु विसृष्टचक्षुषि महासम्भ्रम्भिनि स्तम्भतः सम्भूतं न मृगात्मकं न मनुजाकारं वपुस्ते विभो किं भीषणमेतदद्भुतमिति व्युद्भ्रान्तचित्ते सुरे विस्फूर्जद्धवलोग्ररोमविकसद्वर्ष्मा समाजृम्भताः. So Bhagavan had told the Devas, and when my greatest devotee tells me to come and calls out, I will come, right? So at this time, when Hiranyakashipu breaks that pillar and he hears a terrifying sound, he's first of all rattled, right? So, and then he says, what is going to happen? At that time, he sees this creature or he sees this person standing in front of him coming out of that pillar, which is, and the Narasimha in the says the size is massive. And Bhattacharya is going to spend a few stanzas describing the form of Narasimha. But the form that Hiranyakashipu is seeing, it's not only the sound he has not heard before, even this form he has not seen before, right? And he's surprised at the creature which is actually coming out of it. So he's like, Ishanam. He's terrified because he's not seen such a ghoram form before. And at the same time, he's adbhutam. He's also amazed because it is like not a normal form, right? So in that form, and I'll talk about the form later. It just says here right now that it's neither the form of an animal or nor a form of a human, right? It's neither this nor that, and that form is coming. And when that massive size form is coming with white hair shining on top of it, at that time Hiranyakashipu gets very terrified because just the sound itself terrified him, and seeing that form suddenly coming out of the pillar, he's just absolutely shocked and terrified at this time. So Daitye Dikshu Disrushta Chakshushi, comma, Mahasambramphini, comma again, Stambhataha, put a is and then join that line with the next line. Stambhata Sambhutam, comma. Okay, so there's going to be a bunch of commas here so that you can also understand that each of the word, each of that means something very important, right? So Stambhata Sambhutam means coming from that pillar, comma, na mrigatmakam, comma, na manujakaram, comma, vapuste vibho. This is Bhagavan Krishna Guruyappa, your form, which is your vapu, your form is na mrigatmakam, was neither the form of an animal nor was the form of a human. Daitye dikshu visrishta chakshushi mahasambramphini stambhata sambhutam na mrigatmakam na manujakaram vapuste vibho.
दैत्ये दिक्षु विसृष्ट चक्षुषि महासम्भ्रम्भिनी स्तम्भदसम्भूतं न मृगात्मकं न मनुजाकारं वपुस्ते विभो दैत्ये दिक्षु विसृष्ट चक्षुषि महासम्भ्रम्भिनी स्तम्भदसम्भूतं न मृगात्मकं न मनुजाकारं वपुस्ते विभो.
दैत्ये दिक्षु विसृष्टचक्षुषि महासम्प्रम्पिनि स्तम्भतः सम्भूतं न मृगात्मकं न मनुजाकारं बभुस्ते विभो दैत्ये दिक्षु विसृष्टचक्षुषि महासम्प्रम्पिनि स्तम्भतः सम्भूतं न मृगात्मकं न मनुजाकारं बभुस्ते विभो
Kim bhishanam etad. I'm just I'm breaking that. Bhishanam etat adbhutamiti. If you want to, you can say the whole word together also, but this will help you split it easily. Bhishanam etat adbhutamiti, comma, vyudbhranta chitte sure, comma, bispurjad dabalogra roma vikasat varshma samajrumbhataha. Yeah, that line is together.
The Rajesh, the third line மட்டும் கொஞ்சம் சொல்லுங்களேன். Vyut prant
Vyudbhranta chitte sure.
சித்தேஸ்வரி. அப்புறம் அந்த பீக்ஷண மேததத் புதமீத
Bhishanam im
பீக்ஷணம்.
Bhishanam etat adbhutamiti. So in the second da that is coming, we
ஏதத்
just
okay,
breaking it
adbhutamiti.
and a. So etat adbhutamiti.
Okay,
Something
okay.
which is adbhutam, something which is,
Okay.
very unique. Kim bhishanameta vyudbhranta chitte sure vispurjadhavalograroma vikasat varshma samajrumbataha.
किं भीक्षणम् एतत् अद्भुतमिति व्यत्परान्तच्चित्ते सुरे विस्फुर्जत्तवलोक्ररोम विकसत् वर्ष्मा समाजृम्भतः. Sorry.
Third line, last word, vyudbhranta.
இங்க இருக்கு third line.
Third line, last word, vyudbhranta. Yeah.
ஆமாமா. கிம் பீக்ஷணம் ஏதத் அத்புதமிதி व्युत्प्रान्तच्चित्ते सुरे विस्फुर्जत् तवलोक्ररोम विकसत् वर्ष्मा समारुजृम्भतः. Okay, samajrumbataha. And
the third line bhishanam. Okay, I'm hearing a ya sound.
Oh, bhishanam.
The third line, kim bhishanam.
Kim bhishanam.
Yeah.
Okay. Kim bhishanamedatattpudamidi vyutprandacchitte sure vispurjat त्वलोक्ररोम विकसत् वर्ष्मा समाजृम्भताः. किं भीषणमेतत्तत्पुदमिति व्युत्प्रान्तच्चित्ते सुरे विस्फुर्जत्तवलोक्ररोम विकसत् वर्ष्मा समाजृम्भताः.
Stanza 3. Tapta swarna savarna ghurna datirukshaaksham सठाके सर प्रोत्कंप प्रणिकुंबितांबरमहो जियातवेदं वपुः व्याप्त महादरी सकमुखं खड्गोग्रवल्गन्महा जह्वा निर्गम दृश्यमान सुमहा दंष्ट्रायुगोड्डामरम्. Describing the form of Hiranyakashipu. This form of Narasimha. Right? So no other form has been described so beautifully, right? So here, the thing we have to understand, first of all, is the size context, right? It's not like a normal size. You have to imagine a massive sized person who's actually standing there in a very terrifying form. So Hiranyakashipu is looking at this form. He first heard the sound, now he's looking at this form and he's very terrified. So he says, because the first thing he starts with is the eyes. He says the eyes are, like, you think of a big eyes which is molten yellow, gold in color. So yellow color eyes which are rolling, and very fearful and angry eyes which are actually there. That is starts with the eyes. Then because it's a lion, it's got a huge mane around it, right? And that mane makes the face looks even bigger and massive in size. And then the mouth is open. And then the mouth is open because of the massive size. The mouth is huge. It says it looks like a cave in there. And there's all these teeth which are actually protruding out of the mouth. And then it says the tongue, right? The tongue which is there itself is like a sword. It is a very sharp tongue. Because, in the lions, if you look at the tongue, it actually got sharp, whatever, sharp things in there, so it can chew things, right? Or chew animals. So it's got a very sharp tongue, which is like a razor, like sharp. And the molars, the tooth which are coming, the molars are also massive in size. And the ears were big. It talks about how each of those things is very big. And the nostrils, he talks about the nose. He says even the nostrils are big in size, right? And with all of these, with the mouth open, with emitting this sound, Hiranyakashipu is just absolutely terrified, right? Looking at this fawn and looking at this, the sound that is coming, and both of this combined, right? It triggers both of these senses of ours. So with that, he's just stunned looking at it. And anyway, so that's the description goes into one more stanza here. Tapta swarna savarna ghurna dhati rukshaksham, put a comma, sata kesara, put a plus, protkampa pranikumbitambaramaho, one word, pranikumbitambaramaho, comma, jiyatavedam vapuhu. Tapta swarna savarna ghurna dati rukshaksham satake sara protkampa pranikumbitam bharamaho jiyatavedam vapuhu.
Tapta swarna savarna kurnattadi rukshaksham chatakesh rukshasham.
Rukshaksham.
Okay. Tapta swarna savarna kurnadadi rukshaksham satakesara pratkamba pranikumbitambaram maho jiyata vedam vapuhu. Tapta swarna savarna kurnadadi rukshaksham satakesara protkamba pranikumbitambaram aho jiyata vedam vapuhu.
அந்த பரமஹோ காமா ஜியாத்த வேதம்
அப்படித்தானா?
வபுஹு.
சரி, பிளஸ் போட்டுட்டாங்க. சரி, சாரி. ஜியாத்த வேதம் வபுஹு.
तप्त स्वर्ण सवर्ण कूर्णतदि रुक्षाक्षं सडकेसर प्रोत्कम्ब प्रणिकुम्बिताम्बरमहो जियात वेदं वपुः.
Awesome. Jiyata vedam vapuhu.
जियात वेदं वपुः. तप्त स्वर्ण सवर्ण कूर्णतदि रुक्षाक्षं सडाकेसर प्रोत्कम्ब प्रणिकुम्बिताम्बरमहो जियात वेदं वपुः.
Vyapta ip. First is just double th, second is a ip and a tha. Vyapta mahadari sakha mukham, comma, khadgogra. Khadgam refers to sword. Khadgogra balgan maha, and then put a plus. And then the entire next line comes together. Jihwa nirgama drishyamana sumaha damshtra yugo damaram. So that damshtra yugo damaram, we cannot break that word. So it's damshtra yugo damaram. Vyapta mahadari sakhamukham khadgogravalgan maha jihva nirgama drishyamana sumaha damshtra yugo damaram.
Vyapta mahadari sakamukam Katkokravalkan maha jihva nirgama drishyamana sumaha damstrayu kotamaram. Vyapta व्याप्तमहातरीसकमुखं कट्कोक्रवल्कन्महाजिह्वानिर्कं दृश्यमानसुमहा दंष्ट्रायुकोटामरम्
व्याप्त महादरिसकमुखं कट्कोक्रवल्कन् जिह्वानिर्कमदृश्यमान सुमहदंष्ट्रायुकोटामरम् व्याप्त महादरिसकमुखं कट्कोक्रवल्कन् महाजिह्वानिर्कमदृश्यमान सुमहदंष्ट्रायुकोटामरम्.
We'll stop here today because the next one goes into more description. Like I said, it's a little bit of a tough chapter, but then you come to any Parayanam, you'll see that people just rush. They just are so good at chanting this because this chapter will give so much energy, but you have to put in effort. You have to practice it like 50 times or 100 times or whatever, right? And then once you get the hang of it, it's a very beautiful chapter. This one and then the Rama Avataram, which is going to come. They're all little hard chapters, but then very powerful, energetic chapters, right? श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः। सान्ध्यानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावरिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि.
Thank you, Rajesh. And apologies because now on the 7 o'clock paakala. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries. No
Okay.
worries. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rajesh.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.